So there's a few, and there's a few podcasts that have provided examples of these real life examples. I'm going to briefly mention two of them and then talk about a third.
Sure.
So one is use cameras at your properties. Use 4K cameras. You will need the extra resolution to catch people that have pets that are not in AppFolio. And you will we've on a 250 unit property, we end up making somewhere around $300,000 over 5 years. So I'll just give you those numbers, do the math. Once you figure it out, you'll know what to do there. Second, if you have a property in an area that's very hot or very cold, sell covered parking. But the way to sell covered parking is only call tenants when it's over 100 degrees or under 30 degrees. Don't bother calling the rest of the time. It's a waste of your time. We can't sell it. But under 30 degrees and over 100 degrees, covered parking is like freaking gold. So when you call them at that point of time, they're willing to pay you $30 a month. $30 a month for 30 slots. If let's say you have 30 slots of covered parking, that's about $250,000 on a 5 cap. So those are two standard strategies. I've discussed them very much in detail in other podcasts, so I'm not going to go there.
Sure.
But the one that is a favorite of mine, because in my mind, it counts the most and we just continuously optimize it, is this. We've seen people with billion-dollar portfolios, $2 billion portfolios. And every once in a while, I'll go to a conference and I'm teaching or up on stage, and I basically sometimes ask people this question, do you really know what your ratios are? And what they say, what ratios? I say, what all of your sales ratios, all of your leasing ratios. And they're like, they're not sure what to talk about because software like AppFolio and Yardi doesn't really calculate these ratios.
Right.
And that I find to be absolutely stunning. That in every sales industry that I've been in technology, we were always calculating our key ratios. So there's really 5 ratios that are so incredibly important that I have not found a single asset manager to know. I'll give those to you. The number of leads that your property receives each week, these are tenant leads. The number of appointments that were set from those leads, the number of people that actually showed up at the property, we call them shows. The number of people that signed apps, right? And then the number of people that became leases. Now that's 5, but you actually have 9 numbers to track, because you track these 5 numbers. And then if you look at my hand here, you track the ratios between each of these 2.
Right.
And that's 4 ratios. And we always also track the ratio all the way from lead to sale. So that's 10. So those 10 numbers, I talk about them very often because I have never come across a scaled industry where people weren't obsessive about sales ratios. Right? And here it is, because I've never come across somebody that actually gives me a number that says my properties, this ratio from lead to appointment is 37.5% or any number. Because no one ever knows. And I cannot understand how you're in the business of selling apartments, right? How could you possibly be measuring your performance, right? And what's interesting is that there's a part, I've actually, this is one that became an obsession. I felt like the industry really did a shitty job on it. So I put it on my website. I was like, okay, here's the 5 ratios. Here's the 5 numbers. Here's the 4 ratios. Here's an hour's worth of content. Take it, implement it. And if I'm wrong, come call me out on it. And it's actually on my website, multifamilyu.com. It's really only for syndicators. So it's not for people that are new to this business. It's overkill for you. You got to be managing 2 or 3 or 4 properties before you look at this stuff. But if you do that, it is going to open your eyes to what is wrong at your property. Because lots of times you're struggling for your property to hit 95%. And then there's properties where you're consistently at 96, but you're afraid of raising rents because you don't know what's going to happen when you raise rents. It's like, I'm going to raise rents by 30 and the property goes to 92. And it does. So it goes to 92, but you're not sure. You're not sure why it went there. You know that it was because of the money, but you're not sure why you're having trouble now getting it back to 95. You don't know if it's the leads to appointments. Your property, leasing agent is not calling quickly enough. You don't know if it's appointments to shows, which means they're not calling and setting reminders and sending text messages and calling on the same day. You don't know if it's processing because people come in, but they don't file an application because, not processing, because the units are constantly dirty. There's dead rats and cockroaches when people go in, And so people come in and nobody ever rents the property out. And so that's really what's killing you. And you don't know if it's processing. People come in and fill out apps, but it takes you a week to process the app when they filled out another app 2 days ago, and that place went through, finished off, sold them the apartment, they're gone, and you'll never get them back. Right? Just that by itself, the fact that you don't track any of these, how the heck do you know who's performing and who's not?